That's not the correct thing. There we go. Who? Whoa. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all. Oh, there's significantly less people on this than there were last night. I jumped into a call with people who had been going over the document last night. I was very lost. I was sort of just passively listening. I did decide to take a look at it myself today. Oh boy. Why don't we talk about it? Oh shit, has someone tossed bullshit? No. I just noticed certain behaviors in text conversations that I think maybe a lot of people would benefit from being able to recognize, because I've had instances where I didn't immediately recognize how toxic and disgusting and detrimental this behavior was. I have friends and have had friends who did not realize it. Some who even don't realize it, possibly, and I just don't know. Who knows? You know, sometimes it's very important to be able to recognize when someone is emotionally exhausting you and blackmailing you and trying to get you to conform to the way that they want things to be. Sorry, 1 second, I have to close my blinds because the sun's no longer shining. And that shit does need to be out in the world. By which I mean my lights. Okay. Even more VAs have jumped ship. Oh, woohoo! Breaking contracts, which is a good thing. I know some people can be a little worried about the possibility of breaking contracts, so good for them. Just gonna drop in, but I see drama, so I may stay, may fall asleep. Just came from... Well, I hope that this stream can be your good night for the day. Oh my god, the face of my iPad is so dirty. I'm sorry, I have to clean it. Sorry, I'm not on iPad. I was just looking over at it. It's very dirty. Disgusting. So, Skittles Juice, an artist whom I've interacted with in the past, she seems like a sweet girl, released a document. Now, normally, I'm not a big fan of documents. I get why some people feel like they get pushed to that point. Hi, anonymous, whatever. You just hanging out there? Who are you? Hello. Oh, it's a kiwi. That's even better. I don't like kiwi fruits, tasty-wise, but, like, if I did like them, that would be great, because aesthetically, they are pleasing. I know that refers to the animal that lays an egg almost bigger than its body. I'm aware. It's just fun that it also refers to the fruit. Okay. So yeah, Skittles Juice released a document, blah blah blah. I took a bit of a passing glance through it. Not the whole thing, just a little bit. How far down did I get?
Coming down to it, or do you want me to bring it up?
I will be here because I'm streaming.
I will bring it up.
Sorry, I should have made note of that. Wait. So, I made about halfway down. I didn't like what I saw. For reasons we'll go over. For reasons that we'll go over. Dear God, 42 pages? Oh, yeah. Well, in fairness, it's large context. It's large text. Large text font. We love a large font for documents that are going to be stupid long. Plus, you know, it saves you from having to squint. This is actually a really, really good font for phones. So if Skitty surmised that people would be reading it on their phones, she sort of worked out there. Although in that regard, I would have recommended putting the screenshots in the document, not just as links, because that was annoying. Every time I'd have to go in and then go back and scroll back through to whatever. Okay, so figured we could go over this because it's interesting. Hi, some of you probably already know who I am, but for the sake of formalities, allow me to introduce myself. I am Skittles Juice, aka Skitty, aka Lauren. Obviously, I am reading for Skitty here. I had been roommates with Blue Davu, aka Sparrow, and their now ex-partner Robbie since 2019. As of this moment, I am still Robbie's roommate. For context, everybody, I would like everybody to remember, as we are reading this, currently, as things stand in text form, we are only reading one person's side of the conversation. You should always take that into consideration when you are looking at Google Docs. When it is just pure text like this, you're only reading one person's side of the conversation. And people are notoriously good at manipulating situations into their favor when they don't have anybody to contest them on it. So it's like, yeah, like, you can read something and be respectful of the knowledge of, like, this is how that person reads the situation. Don't always inherently take it as face value. So while we are going through this, or don't take it as fact, I should say. Do not take it at face value is the correct, sorry. Yeah, so as we're going through this, remember, this is just, like, one person's side, and until we see, like, screenshots of behavior, there's only so much that a person can go on. Thank you very much. Okay. So, since 2019, as of this moment, I am still Robbie's roommate. So Robbie was Blue Davu, or Sparrow's ex-partner. I no longer have any contact with Sparrow. I don't want contact at this point. Given how personal the situation is, and also due to the fact that I'm an easily anxious person and just really hate conflict, fucking mood, I honestly didn't want to have to go public with this. While I was convinced by concerned friends to compile everything as a precaution, I made every excuse I could not to have to post it. But the exceptions that would even compel me to make this document public would be if they publicly tried to put my name on blast, attempting to damage my reputation and my financial well-being, or if they tried to contact my friends in an attempt to damage my relationships with people. They've done both. And for what? Well, I am going to detail everything. I will try my best to leave no details omitted. If I am in some way at fault for this, I wish to be informed, criticized and held accountable by those who are looking in from an outsider's perspective. I had made attempts at talking privately before this doc to explain my side and why I made decisions I did or deny accusations thrown against me. Yet every talk has instead been, in my opinion, messages with the intention to emotionally hurt me, at one point even telling me to shut up amidst me explaining myself, or told to go fuck myself, and I will not tolerate that anymore. I am too emotionally fragile to allow myself to be put under so much relentless stress. Okay, you go for it. Disclaimer. Do not attack anyone in this situation. I wish to speak my side. I will also be occasionally displaying screenshots from Robbie. I will try not to speak for him too much, especially since this document was entirely my own doing, but to display what I knew as someone who was living with and listening to both sides, as I was not present for everything, but the context is still needed, especially when Robbie has no social media presence to defend himself on. That's fair. I have hopes that maybe one day they will reflect and understand that I truly did care about them, and nothing I did was to intentionally cause harm. Even now, despite everything, I can't bring myself to say that I hate them. I just want them to heal and reflect and better themselves, and I ask that you allow them the space to do so. With that out of the way, where it all began. On August 4th, I left to go on vacation with my family. Despite having moved out in 2019 due to increased strain under their roof, mainly from them not understanding my desire to make art my career, I would still make an effort to see them. Usually this would be for the holidays, but occasionally they would inform me about their annual summer trip, and this year I asked to join them. Okay. Before I left, Robbie called us into the living room, having us sit in a circle. He wanted to talk, and I didn't have much to say at the time. Robbie had plenty. He turned his attention to Sparrow, his partner, to express how he was worried for them, how their excessive sleeping was not only affecting their already concerning mental health, but also their contribution to helping out in the apartment, and how it made them more distant. But most importantly, he tearfully confessed that he did not want to talk about similar concern. He did not want to talk about similar concerns with Sparrow in the past, but worried that they would get angry and defensive in... Oh no, he did want to talk about... Sorry, why was I putting a not in there? So, he did want to talk about similar concerns with Sparrow in the past, but worried that they would get angry and defensive in response, and how he hoped they could be more communicative as a couple in the future. He wanted to feel like his efforts were acknowledged and appreciated in a way that didn't involve Sparrow repeatedly talking about how much of a burden they were. Oh. He was clearly still hurting from the memory of Sparrow pulling off their ring to leave it on the pillow, stating that he deserved better than them. Interesting. Robbie wanted to make things work, but he wanted to feel like he could talk to Sparrow in a way that was healthy and understood. To summarize, it was a talk that was needed, and one that ended peacefully. Afterwards, we proceeded to spend the rest of the evening watching videos and having silly banter. There was no other mention of this talk before I left to see my family. As for my vacation, the week was lovely. It was definitely a break I needed. Towards the end of the week, my dad suggested I stay just one more day so he could check my car before I left. I agreed and communicated this to the roommates. It was then that my mom turned to me and said, "If you want to come home, you're always welcome." Sorry, I'm skipping a few things. There's a few things that Skitty mentions. It's just like, we don't need to talk about that. It's fine. Although it is good that she finally got to, like, a break with her family. I appreciate that, and I love spending time with you guys, but I wouldn't be able to live under the same roof again. I need my own space to do my work, and sure, I know you don't like the apartment I'm in, I don't either, but the friends I live with are what make it tolerable. I thought nothing of it. Then that evening, I received some messages. Okay. From Twilight. I assume this is Robbie. I just want to give you a heads up. Sparrow is sleeping on the couch. I offered to do so, but they have made up their mind. But these last 2 days have been rough. Sparrow got into it and their parents yesterday after Blank's birthday party, and it just kind of got worse from there. But I am at work and don't know how things are really until I get home. I'm sorry to dump all this on you, but I didn't want to walk in and get blindsided either. So I thought maybe just a little heads up would be good. I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeesh, thanks for the heads up. What happened? Why are they on the couch? If you don't know, keep me updated. Leaving the party was very slow going, and I was tired and wanted to go, and Sparrow wanted to go, but neither of the parents wanted to yet, and I was just patiently waiting, but Sparrow was in pain and frustrated and snapped at me to go get their parents. So I went over to their dad to talk with him, and they overheard him saying something about it, and Sparrow decided to slam his new truck door, and that sparked a bunch of yelling and stuff outside at like 9 to 10 p.m., and we left late. Sparrow ended up taking an Uber back to their parents' house from Mass, and then their mom went to talk with them again. There was more yelling, and they slammed their parents' house door and left. I guess while I was in the truck, Sparrow's mom said something not okay, and that really set Sparrow off, and now they aren't talking to their mom or their dad. Me telling them that that's what triggered all the yelling was also what made them mad, but there's been so much going on, and I'm just trying to keep it together through work. They said something about leaving and not burdening me or bothering me, and I'm just trying my best. Robbie informs me over Discord that an argument took place while attending Sparrow's 6-year-old cousin's birthday party. Now, Sparrow, for full transparency, has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. This greatly affects their hips and legs. Okay. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Is a group of inherited disorders that affect your connective tissues, primarily your skin, joints, and blood vessel walls. Usually have overly flexible joints and stretchy, fragile skin. This can become a problem if you have a wound that requires stitches because the skin often isn't strong enough to hold them. Okay, so delicate. More delicate and obviously prone to pain. Of the disorder called vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome can cause the walls of your blood vessels, intestines, or uterus to rupture. Because vascular Ehlers-Danlos Danlos syndrome, can have serious potential complications in pregnancy. Okay. Okay. Delicate boy. Delicate non-binary boy. As their roommates, as well as their fiancé and close friend respectively, Robbie and I tried to be as understanding of their situation as possible. From telling them to not worry about taking out the trash, to holding our tongues when their involvement in most other chores began to, I think that's supposed to be fall, further and further to the wayside. After all, we couldn't possibly understand what they were dealing with physically. We could pick up the slack, regardless of how frustrating it got, when almost a year passed with no change to our routine. 1 second, I am just mixing up my curry. Oh, Eternity, if you're in chat, you'll be happy to know that I also have Japanese curry now. Woohoo. Okay. Whew. However, that is no excuse for this type of behavior. To slam the doors of someone else's vehicle and to have such a loud argument at a child's birthday, all because their parents wanted to stay a bit longer to spend more time with family. I do not excuse the behavior of the parents either, to not only allow this, but to join in on this yelling match. It's entirely possible that this 6-year-old heard these grown adults screaming at each other at her birthday party. Yeah, and at 6 years old, that's not super fun. Look, I'm pretty sure we've all had a similar experience with our parents overstaying their welcome at a party with friends and or family when you're personally tired and ready to go. Maybe when I was much younger. It's frustrating. Although, in fairness, usually any instance I can remember doing this as a kid, or like having this happen as a kid where like the parents start talking, it always just results in you being able to play with your friend longer. So, I don't know, maybe there was like one time where I was at a friend's house and like I was keen to go home. Yeah, okay. It's frustrating, but to react like this and to be angry that Robbie would dare say that the slamming door may have lit the match, I have no words. Now remember, we don't have any screenshots like for any of this. Like, we weren't there. We're only going by what Robbie said and what Skittle says. Remember, always keep that in mind as you're reading. Finally caught a B stream. What did I miss? We're catching up on the Google Doc that was put out by Skittles Juice, because I noticed some behaviors in the doc that maybe not super plussed, and I thought maybe going over those behaviors was important. Because some people really give people the benefit of the doubt. Some people really try to be such good friends and all they end up doing is hurting themselves. Okay, I'm pretty sure we've all had a similar. It's frustrating, but to react like this, to be angry, I have no words. I also do not fully know what Sparrow's mom had said, which was overheard by them back at their home. But what I do know is that the entire evening was heated. This resulted in Sparrow cutting off their family, and since Sparrow worked for their mom, they suddenly made the decision to quit their job because they refused to be around her. That's very extreme, so that would have to be like that had to be like a very serious thing, or that had to be like the straw that broke the camel's back. Either that, or maybe it was like a ploy tactic. Like maybe quitting in order to prompt the mom to reach out and re-offer a job, maybe with more benefits. Possibly. I don't know what their relationship with their mother is like, but obviously that is something to consider as, like, you know, there are the logical reasons someone would react like that, and then there are the self-beneficial reasons that someone would react like that. I don't normally like to address those, but I'm just saying, I know someone like this. I'm related to multiple people like this. Fuck me. Oh. Okay, so Robbie was not initially told this. He found out when shown texts between Sparrow and their mom, when they believed their mom was implying that they were burdening them and questioning if they were expecting him to pick up the slack after they quit. He asked if they were actually quitting, and they confirmed it. This is where I should also disclose that Sparrow had past instances of financial struggle. We all did to some extent. But theirs would result... Yeah, I'm about to. Fuck. We all did to some extent. But theirs would result in periods where they quit a job and spent months searching for another, and Robbie having to cover their portion of rent on top of his own for multiple months, along with some bills they could not fully afford. Even when they had this job... Sorry, hair in my mouth. Making more per hour than either of us, $19 to $20 an hour. Yeah, because Skittles works commission work. Robbie would still assist when he was needed, and while it affects his savings, while this accumulated into around $1,300 of his own money to help them, he still did what he could when he could. But suddenly they quit a job, finding this out not from their own mouth initially, but through happening to see the messages in text. When would they have disclosed this to us themselves? We don't know. Meanwhile, they still had their portion of the rent, a variety of medications, and their testosterone to pay for, among other bills. To put it simply, their decision to quit their jobs so suddenly wasn't something that would just affect themselves, but also leave others picking up the pieces as well. Given that this is a 3-person shared apartment type scenario, obviously that makes sense. One person is no longer able to afford rent. That's going to put more pressure on the other 2 people if they even decide to let them stay once they can't afford rent anymore. Like, realistically speaking, Skittles and Robbie could have just told Sparrow to get the hell out. Like, if he's willing to quit like that, like, normally you can't just put that on roommates. The only reason Sparrow got to stick around without paying rent was because they were friends. In any other roommate situation, once they stopped paying rent, the other roommates, or like the tenant, the fucking owner, pretty sure could kick them out, depending on like how their lease goes, I guess. There are technically instances where like it can be difficult to put, like, but that's the way I see it. It's like, once you stop paying rent, they can kick you out. And in that expectation existing, to expect that you would not be kicked out because the people that you are roommates with are your friends, that you have that pre-established relationship, does irk me. Landlord, thank you. Owner, landlord. Words. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to take a bite of delicious. Oh. I almost inhaled a grain of rice. That could have ended badly for us all. Mostly me. Yeah, Robbie was also Blue's boyfriend at the time. So obviously Robbie in particular would feel way more compelled to support Sparrow in any instance where Sparrow was no longer able to pay their half of the rent. Or third of the rent. Their half of their part. And they hadn't even thought to inform us when they made the decision. Perhaps we were simply expected to find out on our own. Whatever the case, this, to my knowledge, was the final straw that resulted in the breakup. So remember, Twilight, I believe, is Robbie. I forgot to mention that they quit their job yesterday during their fight with their mom. I broke things off this morning and got the ring back. I can't keep doing this. It's been too much for too long, and now we are both crying in separate rooms. They quit their job over that? Oh, Robbie, I'm so sorry. Do I need to stay here longer, or... That's up to you. If you don't feel comfortable coming back, I understand. I'd still have to go to work, and I can't spend today watching them or anything. Because remember, Skittles is on vacation currently with her parents at this point in the timeline. So Robbie and Sparrow are in the apartment on their own, and they have since separated into different rooms. I know I'm probably walking into a messy situation, but I also don't want to leave Sparrow alone too long. Thank you, I appreciate that, and I'm sorry. I've put more on you than I ever wanted to. I mean, it's a lot to handle for one person, so I'd rather take on some of it than have only one person carry that. I don't know what else to do, but I can't keep going through this cycle. As I was preparing to return to the apartment, I was informed that Robbie and Sparrow had broken up. Robbie had broken off their engagement, explained reasons why, and took the ring back. This was further explained to me in the group chat that we shared. And Blue Davu is Sparrow. We broke up. I won't be coming back after my appointment. I was just told, I'm sorry, Sparrow. Where are you planning to go? I want to know so I know you're safe. Don't know, don't care. My parents and I are like they were back in 2018. I quit my job, and now apparently I need to figure out my housing for myself, never mind the animals. I know you do. I mean, do you not have, like, did you not have, like, money saved up? Like, were you currently in a position where you had no money in the bank, and, like, as soon as you quit your job, you just can't pay rent anymore? Because that's concerning, inherently. That, like, that had to be something really, really bad, or it's concerning that you went to that extreme. I hate that at least everybody always has, like, 2 to 3 different names, which, like, I can't get too plussed about, because, like, I've got, you know, my Empty Brook, Reanimated Octopus, and then Ponder Sprocket. But in fairness, Reanimated Octopus is supposed to tie into the new branding for the channel, so Ponder Sprocket will not exist at some point, so it doesn't even matter anymore. And then I'll just be down to 2. Haha. The video shit, the comic shit. Don't know, don't care. I know you don't want to, but I feel like you should try to talk with your family, because I think there will be the safest, at least temporarily, you know? I don't know what went on fully, but I know you guys mended things back then. Saturday I had to get a $100 Uber back to their house so I could get my car. My mom treated me like I have a victim complex because my pain is a burden to their social life. I'm sorry, that's really shitty. Though I would rather know that you're with family than some unknown place. I know that's me being ignorant and not knowing the full situation, though. Well, I thought I had a place there until he broke up with me. I'm so fucking tired of being a burden. What does Robbie breaking up with you? What does that mean that you haven't got a place there anymore? Does Robbie have the right to kick you out? Or do you just not want to be there anymore? Because that's not the same thing. I'm so fucking tired of being a burden to everyone. If you want, you can take my bed for the time being while you look for a spot. I don't want you rushing out with no plan. I'll take the couch at night. I should be in the hospital again, but health insurance is still playing hard to get. If you need to go to the hospital, I'd say go. I'll set up GoFundMe stuff if you need it due to the insurance. But I really think you need to take a breath and think things over. You're mentally unwell and physically disabled, and I don't feel comfy with the idea of you just running off blindly, you know? I at least thought I had someone to lean back on, someone who was there during it, but no, I guess not. Skittles is literally in the process of saying, hey, you can use my bed so that you don't need to immediately leave the apartment. And your response is, man, I thought I had somebody I could... She's literally giving you a shoulder to lean on. Acknowledge that she is doing that for you. I've been fighting for so fucking long to try and help myself for us, and it feels like it's all been for nothing. I know you're hurting. I'm really sorry, Sparrow. Please consider what I mentioned to you, okay? You can take my room at night if you need it to plan stuff out. Go to the hospital and we will figure out the insurance crap, or you can try to work things out with your family for a while. A lot for these don't feel good, but in my mind they feel the safest. You know? At the very end of the day, you're still my friend and I care about you a lot. I just want to know you're safe. You need to consider what's safest for Chicken and Pichu too. I assume those are I assume those are Sparrow's animals. Because Sparrow did mention needing a plan for the animals. So I think those are their animals. His animals. It's a lot all at once, but we will figure this out. We don't hate you, Lovey. Okay? As I was still at my parents' house, a 2.5-hour drive away, I tried to do what little I could to help in this situation. I suggested that they should talk with their parents and see if staying there for a while would be okay. Robbie suggested visiting their grandpa. I offered my room at night so they had their own space. Robbie suggested talking with their therapist. I suggested going to the hospital when they began talking about contemplating harming themselves. Oh, yeah. Trigger warning. This document goes through... We're going to be talking about suicidal ideation. I know that's really difficult for some people. God knows I know that's really difficult for some people. But we are going to be talking about it. And, like, threats of suicidal ideation and stuff like that. So if you need to get high, get high. I also offered to write them a GoFundMe. After all, I had more of a social media reach, and GoFundMe also played a role in myself being able to move. I wanted to provide the same to them. Breakups are never easy, and since both people were my friends, I wanted to make sure everyone was okay, especially since Robbie had to go to work and Sparrow was still considering what to do. I can't do this anymore, I just can't. When I do stand up for myself against my parents, I've lost everything all over again. Family stuff can be really messy. I may not fully understand to this extent, but I understand the mess to some degree. It's a whole other generation you're arguing with, after all. There needs to be that learning curve before progress is made. But I'm sure they still... I mean, I should fucking hope you're talking to another generation when you're talking to your parents, fuck. You should be talking at least 2 generations back. There needs to be that learning curve before progress is made. But I'm sure they still love you, Sparrow. You guys have made up once before. He said we can't keep doing this, and I'm not going to take blame for reacting to my dad ignoring my many attempts that I wanted to go home. Not just for me, but... What? Okay. Not just for me, but for him, so he could go to work the next day. Wait, I thought... Okay, maybe it's just the wording here. But considering it was allegedly... From what Skittles has told us, something the mom said that set Sparrow off so much that they they wanted to cut contact and quit their job. It seems weird for Sparrow to be framing it here like the problem is that Robbie is angry because Sparrow was angry because their parents wouldn't leave. Whereas Robbie was angry because Sparrow quit their fucking job without telling him. Or is that something that, like, he found out later? And, like, I assume they didn't break up right after getting home from the party. No, they actually, wait. That is what it said, didn't it? So they got home from this party, and they had a fight, and then immediately broke up? And then he finds out later about the fact that they quit their job. That's still so... What the fuck? How long do you consider a generation? Isn't it like... Is it 10 years or 15 years? I feel like it should be minimum 15 years. But, in fairness, I guess I don't know. Yeah, because generation is supposed to be, like... Man, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Generation should be 20 years. Who the fuck cares? It's about 15 years, give or take? Yeah, it makes sense. You and I are in the same generation, B. I believe that. Millennials, rise up! Stop being so depressed. Okay. My mom is a boomer who has a zoomer child. There was something diabolical going on there, right? Okay. He said he can't keep doing this. Okay. And he gotta go to work for the next day. I don't think this is about blame, though. I think this can be about explaining your side in a setting that isn't a screaming match. Because I know your family can be passionate, okay, explosive, but they seem like good people. You all are. My mom doesn't even remember what she said to me, then tried to manipulate the situation afterwards. Okay. Wait, so what did she say? Do we ever get to figure out what the mom said that was so egregious that they had to quit their job? Because I am curious, like, what that was. Because I think the context of specifically what was said tells us whether or not the action of quitting their job was reasonable. 30s is still young. Yeah, apparently 30s is the new 20s. Or, like, some circles are like 30s is the new 20s, and then others are like 30, you're an old decrepit grandmother and you're never gonna be able to, like, populate or breed the next generation because you're shriveled up inside or something. It's always the weirdos. Oh. According to my dad, I was bullying him because I was frustrated and sobbed out an apology. And now Robbie thinks... That seems weird. And now Robbie thinks the event that set off the chain reaction was me slamming a car door when I was trying to get us both home. I mean... Was it not? Was the chain reaction that they weren't listening to... Was, like, the thing that set off the event, the fact that they weren't listening to you when you said you wanted to leave? Because the way it's described, it does sound like slamming the car door was the thing that pissed everyone off and started the yelling match. Maybe I'm just reading that wrong. When emotions are high, the meaning behind people's words can get misunderstood. Very true. They shouldn't have immediately accused you of bullying in that moment. This is also, like, a thing you see online with kids, is, teenagers especially, they hear all of these, like, buzzwords about abuse and whatnot, and a lot of the time when teenagers are having difficulty at home, and this is not to, like, downplay anybody's own experiences, but sometimes you're having bad feelings about yourself or other people or, like, things that happen around you. And maybe those feelings are, like, exaggerated because of your hormones, but, like, otherwise you don't have a means of justifying why you feel the way that you do. Some kids end up turning to accusing their parents of, like, oh, I've got neglectful parents, my parents are abusive. Like, I knew kids in high school who had really, really good lives, but, you know, they'd always come to school and be the, like, my parents are abusive, my parents are neglectful, because they didn't know how to, like, express why they were feeling such intense bouts of sadness and rage, which is very common when you're in high school, because fucking hormones are a bitch. Like, you don't know where these feelings are coming from, and they're so stupidly strong. It's like you feel like you have to justify them. And, like, the only way you can justify them is, like, oh, well, things have to be happening to me to make it so that I am like this. That's, and in fairness, that is usually how it works, but sometimes when you're a teenager, emotions are high. Hormones are a hell of a fucking drug. They're on testosterone, correct? Like NB individual who is a fab. I don't know. Yes, NB individual. Excuse me. Okay. When emotions are high, blah blah blah. Bullying in the moment. For your own sake, though, I think there should at least be a talk at some point, a way to calmly convey how you were feeling in that moment. I'm sorry, these messages are pretty pushy of me, and I wasn't there, so how would I understand? But all of the messages out there for you, but of all the options out there for you, if you want to get out as fast as possible, I think that's the safest. At least temporarily, while you collect yourself and look for other spots. Or again, you can stay and take my bed. I'm sorry for being so annoying. I just want to make sure my friend is going to be okay. I've just stopped caring about safety. All I wanted was an apology from them, and I got told I was being a bully and that I internalized something my mom never said. And I'm so sick of being treated like I'm crazy for sticking up for myself. Okay, that phrasing is interesting. Internalized something my mom never said. Okay, so now I am more concerned about, like, okay, what was it that she said that made you so angry? Maybe if we know that, there will be some more interesting context. Oh, I know assigned female at birth. I know that's what it means. I just didn't know if that was appropriate to talk about, because I feel like some people don't want you knowing what they were assigned at birth. Maybe that's just me. Yum, yum, yum. I don't think there's going to be any reconciliation here. I'm sorry. I'm on the couch. That's funny based on how things go forward. I'm on the couch now, but only because I'm still in so much fucking pain. I won't be back for a while because I have to do laundry. You have permission to lie in my bed for a while if you need it. I'm going to do laundry and then drive back. I gave my keys to Robbie, not coming back. That's if my ortho doesn't call someone on me for my state of leg right now. Or for the state of my leg right now. Please stay safe. At least keep me updated on where you're staying. Okay, so Sparrow's seemingly about to go into or is in an orthodontics, not that orthopedics? Whatever. Sparrow's taking an appointment time. This one? Yeah. Please stay safe. At least keep me updated on where you're staying. In my car, most likely. If not, off a bridge or in a ward. If you need to go to the hospital, please do that. Again, I'll help figure stuff out. I'm at the hospital. I want to go home. I don't want to be admitted again. I just want things to go back to how they were the other day. I'm at least relieved to know that you're safe for the most part. I just got back. I just got brought back. Same room when I was brought in to 5 West. Okay. Before I could arrive back at the apartment, Sparrow had already left. They dropped off their apartment keys at Robbie's work, and they were never coming back and drove off. Said they were never coming back and drove off. Later, they checked themselves into the hospital, and despite saying they'd rather kill themselves than stay with their parents, they were able to find a place to stay in their spare room. Again, makes me wonder what it was that was said or not said that made Sparrow go so nuclear so as to cut their job, thus resulting in their significant other cutting them off, only for them to backtrack when that significant other... I don't even want to say, like, when that significant other is no longer, like, an option, because I'm not entirely sure if Sparrow's been kicked out at this point. Like, it seems like they're self-kicking out. Would you like the definition of 5150? I feel like I knew it at some point and I've forgotten, so sure. Oh, 5150 is, that's like when you threaten suicide, isn't it? Or like you have to go for a mental stay or something. Yep, there it is. So they have prior 5150s. Great. 5150 is a number of the section of the Welfare and Institutions Code which allows an adult who is experiencing a mental health crisis to be involuntarily detained for a 72-hour psychiatric hospitalization when evaluated to be a danger to others or to himself or herself or gravely disabled. So Sparrow has previously been detained for either the sake of themselves or others for a 72-hour hold, or possibly more. Who knows? Good to know. It's, yeah, when they deem you danger, they take you by force to be institutionalized, which in fairness, there are people who have been very traumatized by that. I understand the necessity for it in some cases, but that is not to say that it cannot be utilized and abused in horrific ways. Once we knew they were in a safe spot for the time being, Robbie and I began carefully sifting through the apartment. Sparrow had said that anything they bought or was a gift to the apartment from their family they were planning to take. On one occasion that they came to collect things, I took it upon myself to have them write down some details for the GoFundMe, as they had brought the idea back up earlier and confirmed wanting to go through with it. Everything was clearly written out as requested, except for the storage prices, which were more of an estimate rather than an actual cost. With this in mind, I offered to hold off on writing the post until they looked into storage and knew the price for it, to ensure that the goal was more accurate to what they would need. They agreed. Plus, they were expected to stay with their parents for 6 months to a year, so while I knew there was some urgency, I didn't want to rush a post so important. Okay. So, presumably this means that Sparrow has agreed to stay with their parents for 6 months to a year? Again, what the fuck did the mom say? What did the mom say that was so terrible that they went to the nuclear option of storming out and quitting their job so that they don't have to contact that family anymore, to turning around and being like, I have no place to go, let me move into your spare bedroom? Especially when he has someone offering to allow them to stay in their bed for the time being until they can find another place to stay, or at the very least for a little while. What was apparently so volatile that they go to the nuclear option, but also apparently something that wasn't so volatile that they wouldn't take that room over crashing on someone's bed in an apartment with their ex? Like, I'm not on super great terms with a lot of my exes, but like, I mean, it's mostly I just don't talk to them. I would be more inclined to sleep in an apartment with one of my exes than I would a family member that I have cut off. Both family members that I have cut off. Well, technically I've cut off more than that, but the big ones. I would be way more inclined to, like, spend time with, like, a fresh ex in the same apartment for, like, an extra month than, like, running to dickweed and being like, oh my god, I need help, please give me your spare room. Maybe that's just me, but it seems a little... Motivations seem a little wishy-washy here. Again, we are just going from Skittles' perspective on things, but we have seen the DMs with Sparrow and Skittles where Sparrow is detailing, like, yeah, I don't want to interact with them, but also I'll apparently go into their spare room. Why? However, one thing they wanted back was something that confused all of us. They wanted the apartment keys. I work from the apartment all the time, so I am always available to let someone in if needed. Mood. Technically, they don't need this key. Yet since they were refusing to sign off the lease for their disability application, Robbie could not legally refuse it to them. So instead, he... Oh. Interesting. So instead, he opted to give it to their parents, which their parents agreed to. Sparrow was, to put it simply, not happy at all about this. All of a sudden, asking for the keys back became an angry demand, yet the keys were still handed to their father. Based on how this is worded, I'm going to presume this is an issue because Sparrow would then have to ask for the keys from their dad. Like, were the keys given to the dad with the stipulation that he not give them to Sparrow? Or is Sparrow just angry that they have to ask for the keys from their dad? Over the span of days, they proceeded to relentlessly ask why he wouldn't give them the key, and as he didn't find it to be a necessary conversation to linger on, Robbie expressed that he didn't want to talk about it. He explained that they could talk about anything else, but right now he did not want to discuss this. And rather than realize he did not want to talk about this one detail, they tried to force it, as if boundaries were suddenly an obstacle to overcome if they pried hard enough. Blah blah blah, I want our answers, that's it. I have asked nicely, and I'd like you to respect that. I have not been rushing you out the door, and I have been being helpful with packing and moving your things in the time frame you gave me that you were ready for. Lauren doesn't even know why, though. The other tenant, please leave me alone. Robbie, what is going on? There's nothing going on, I just don't want to talk about the keys. I already said I'm open to talk about other stuff, but you keep bringing up the keys even when I have asked for you to stop pushing the subject. Because it doesn't make sense. I don't think you do it to be spiteful or for some power trip, but if you don't give me an answer, that's all I have left to go off of. Interesting that you immediately default to Robbie doing it for nefarious reasons. And that if Robbie doesn't give you the exact reason as to why, something that he is clearly not comfortable with divulging, you are going to be forced to assume it is for malicious reasons. Despite the fact that there are so blatantly, obviously other reasons as to why Robbie might not want to discuss it. Maybe Robbie is worried that you are going to use the keys to break into the apartment when he's not there. And maybe he's concerned about expressing that to you. Because maybe you might get a little angry at the implication that Robbie can't trust you. That's a possibility. That's a perfectly valid possibility. People being scared that an angry, malicious ex who apparently has issues with them is going to break into the apartment. I think that's a perfectly valid reason to not want to give them the keys. In fairness, I guess it wouldn't be breaking into the apartment, but it would be entering, potentially when Robbie and Skittles don't want them there. And, you know, when they've moved out. Especially if the thing about, like, them refusing to sign off the lease is true, because that gives them, like, a legal opening access to the apartment. Legally speaking, Robbie and Skittles would not be able to keep them out of the apartment, which would obviously be concerning if Robbie has concerns about his ex. Counter possibility, if this is in the States, the landlord would have to give the key to the tenant. Not their parents. Yeah, it's fairly, but, like, Robbie's not the landlord, so... Yeah, after Sparrow chose not to live there anymore. Exactly. Like, Sparrow was given the option to stay there if they needed to, and chose not to. They chose to go back to the parents who were apparently so fucking awful that he quit his job at a time when he did not have money to fall back on. I don't know about you guys, but, like, I feel like that has to be pretty bad if you want to quit. Yeah, Blue gave the keys to Robbie saying he wasn't coming back. Wouldn't that potentially count as moving out? I guess technically because he's on the lease, it doesn't matter. Okay. I only share blah, 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 a portion of this conversation as an example. The rest is essentially the same back and forth of Robbie asking not to speak about this one topic and Sparrow trying to force it anyway. Okay. I don't know why that's done like that, but okay. You don't want to talk to me because I asked an uncomfortable question? All right, what changed between us, huh? Was it my transition being too much for you? My disability? Oh, whoa, we are already going nuclear. Okay. My disability? The disorder I couldn't get treatment for without being diagnosed? Wow. Notice how every single fucking thing that Sparrow is listing is something that puts Robbie in a bad light if that's the reason they dumped them. Not like maybe Robbie was tired of, like, being with someone who fights. Maybe Robbie had other legitimate reasons. Why is every fucking reason one that turns Robbie into a piece of shit for dumping you? The disorder I couldn't get treatment for without being diagnosed. You emotionally checked out of the relationship, didn't you? Spending date days with blank when our date days fell to the wayside because I didn't make you feel special. I mean, yeah. Shouldn't your significant other make you feel special? Do you not, by implying that them breaking off the relationship is going to cause you to be suicidal? I don't give a fucking shit if it's true. That's your problem. That sounds like you have put all of this emotional dependency on someone who should not be bound to you. Like, you don't own that other person. What the fuck is the problem with you? Sorry about that. I don't know how long the stream was gone. I was freaking out about... How much did you guys hear? None. None of it. At least 10 minutes missed. Fuck! Okay, well. I will re-go over this. The Discord thingy. So, presumably, this is in a Discord that has Robbie in it because Sparrow is atting Robbie in the Discord. I don't know why the fuck you would rate someone's Discord at and not just their name if they were not in that exact same fucking chat as you. They say, Robbie, fuck you. Genuinely fuck you. I just wanted fucking answers and I can't even be given that. And then we see the conversation from Sparrow's side, which gives us a little more. I'm sleeping on an air mattress and you're putting Lauren in an awkward position. And for what? You don't want to talk to me because we saw this, because I asked an uncomfortable question. All right, fine. Here's some more uncomfortable questions. What changed between us, huh? Was it my transition being too much for you? My disability? The disorder I couldn't get treatment for without being diagnosed? You emotionally checked out of the relationship, didn't you? Spending date nights with somebody. Blah, blah, blah. And then we get to, this one. Is that why you also left your suicidal now ex on the couch while you got ready for work? Fuck you to the ends of the earth. Not only implying through this wording that you are suicidal as a result of the breakup, which I guess in some people's mind would make that the fault of the person who broke up with you, not mine. I should clarify that. They're essentially saying, hey, you broke up with me, and now I'm in a bad mood. So bad, in fact, that I think I might hurt myself. You need to stay home and not go to work. After I have just quit my fucking job, apparently regarding something that was so terrible that I had to quit my job and cancel my relationship with my parents, only to flip-flop on it when it was convenient for me and I no longer had an apartment with a loving boyfriend to sleep in. Like, even though I technically still was allowed to be there. Yeah, you need to quit your job. You need to risk your job by taking the day off to comfort me. Because you broke up with me and now I'm suicidal and that makes it your fault. No. That is not... I don't give a fucking shit if you are suicidal as a result of the breakup. Frankly, that's a you issue. That means you put way too much emotional dependency on someone who shouldn't be shackled to you for the rest of their fucking lives. That's not fair to anybody else. And you're a piece of shit for expecting that. You do not get to be all like, oh, you're not allowed to break up with me because if you break up with me, I'm gonna be suicidal. Fuck you! Oh, I am... Look. I'm gonna be perfectly candid here. As someone who struggles with suicidal ideation, this is fucking disgusting. I would never accuse... Hello, sorry. Does she want to go for walkies? Oh, really? Okay. Demona wants to go for walkies, so I want everybody to just keep that in your brain, that we'll come back. That... Yeah, you do not put that on somebody else. If you're struggling with thoughts of self-harm, that is because, I mean, maybe you're in an abusive relationship, at which point, why would you want to stay with them? Why would you be upset whether they broke up with you? But also, you know, mental health issues. Sometimes depression tells you things about yourself that aren't necessarily true, but man, depression makes it really fucking convincing. And that's nobody else's fault. And it's nobody else's job but yours to fix it. I'm sorry, that's how it works. Everybody's got to take care of their own mental brains. You can't expect somebody else to be there to fix you. You can't shackle someone to you under the emotional blackmail that you will do something to yourself if they are not there for you 24/7. You're disgusting. Okay, sorry, kitty foe. I actually have to end the stream for a bit. I will come back, but Demona needs walkies. And what Demona wants, Demona gets. Demona baby. Demonetized. Anyways, chat can... I mean, you can go through the chat and sort of see what we were saying, I guess. I'll be back after walkies. Maybe it'll be short muck. Maybe she'll just want to go to the corner. We'll see. Okay. I'll be back, and we shall pick up right from here in... Is that why you also left your suicidal now ex on the couch while you got ready for work? Oh, boy. All right. I'll be back.